Welcome back to the channel, lads and ladies, and welcome to the Soviet B-25. I got a hold of this aircraft a while back, and I have yet to really put it through its paces. I've spent a very large amount of time in B-25s, and yet they're still exciting and fun. And one of those things about cross-nation vehicles like the B-25 is you can often encounter a completely different game meta when you're playing on the other side of the fence, as it were. And that's exactly what I experienced in the Soviet B-25. So if you're looking to pick this one up, if you like the attacker slash frontline bomber playstyle, this is your typical B-25, just like the one you'll find at rank 3 in the American tech tree. As a bomber, it's not my favorite version of B-25 because you get the same bomb load, but you get less 50 cals and you don't have access to that ridiculous 75mm derp gun that's just so much fun. But it is a solid airframe, being one of the more durable bombers in the game. So you can actually survive a few hits, as you'll see us do in this match, but the focus of this one is definitely going to be ground attack. As you see, we're trying to take down as many ground targets as possible with our main guns, and also making use of the defensive guns. The tail gun, being a dual 50 cal, is the most effective at taking down both enemy fighters and ground targets. Because of its good vertical guidance, it's able to target both ground and air if they're directly behind you, but once you get outside the arc of those two tail fins, that's just about the firing arc of the tail gunner, unsurprisingly, and that's about all you have access to. Now our goal is to take down 80 ground targets. Eventually, that's for a special task. We're actually going to pick up 20 in this battle. That's a lot of ground targets, especially considering we're not once going to go back to base to refuel and rearm. In fact, this match in total lasted about 15 minutes. I've cut out some of the beginning for you, as you can tell. And while we're on that subject, I'll go ahead and cover what the beginning was like. We cut our throttle down to about 16% and dove until we were fairly close to our RIP speed to close distance to ground targets and also reduce our elevation as quickly as possible, because a bomber flying at altitude is a lot easier to spot on the horizon or against the clouds than a bomber flying at treetop level. I noticed I got a little bit of glitchiness there, not sure if that's just in the viewer itself or if the final product is going to look jumpy like that, and if it does, I apologize. I had a few things going on here. The game itself was stuttering quite a bit, that sort of server desync that I've noticed ever since the last major update. So that continues to be an issue. I'll look forward to Gaijin improving client stability, and I don't know if you can hear it, but that is the sound of my oldest daughter getting naked. She's almost 2, and she goes yay when she unzips and removes her onesie. So I have no doubt that in a few minutes, once I'm done recording this, I'm going to go in there and check on her, and she'll have both onesie and diaper at some point in the room that is not on her body. Yay! I guess it's good that I know now. I'll just have to put it on backwards so she can't unzip it so easily. Anyway, we are shortly going to run out of ammunition for our main guns, and that is one of the issues of the B-25 when it comes to ground strike. It has an incredible amount of ammunition and a generous number of forward-mounted guns. Ain't nothing wrong with that, but they do tend to run out of ammunition quickly when you're performing ground strike, especially since it's difficult to line up really effective attack runs in the B-25. It's a lot easier to take down AA and artillery positions, really almost any ground target in the game, from a top-down angle you have a lot higher chance to miss or to hit the sandbags, which do have a certain armor value apparently. They reduce the amount of damage that ground targets take from things like heavy machine guns. So we're not able to get that good top-down angle very effectively in the B-25. As you see, we're kind of something of a brick in the sky. Not a ton of maneuverability, but just enough to do a little wiggle. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle if there's someone on your tail, and that does end up coming in handy every now and then. As we mentioned before, for those of you that are not familiar with the B-25, it does have a decent amount of survivability, mostly down to the large amount of armor plating that consists of the internal structure of the aircraft, and that can help keep your gunners alive and keep the plane in the air under a significant amount of enemy fire, which is even more meaningful since, well, it's been a while, but the cannon buff also saw a significant decrease in the survivability of bomber aircraft. They definitely reduced the durability of bombers across the board. And, well, frankly, that's something that I miss, is having bombers be a target that's actually difficult to take down. Oddly enough, we played a match before this one where we picked up a kill and an assist, which was basically our kill. The guy pulled off of us and tried to limp away, got finished off by a teammate, just from people trying to fly in a straight line and gun us down. And the B-25 is not one of those targets you want to linger on the tail of. You'll end up with 4 50 cal machine guns pointing at you in short order, and especially that tail gunner with the small amount that he needs to adjust to aim for a tail riding enemy aircraft. Well, he can make your life difficult fairly quickly. Speaking of, you see the ball turret on top is opening up and the tail gunner, and we shred that wyvern that decided to attack us. The last thing you want to do with those unreliable Hispano cannons is just pump center mass into a B-25. At the least go for a wingtip or something. The B-25 cannot fly with half a wing, so that is perhaps a better strategy. You definitely don't want to linger on their tail like he did. You will quickly get shot down in a point and click adventure. So that's about all I have to say about the B-25. It has a lot of defensive guns that can be used to take down ground targets. It can be a really fun playstyle when it's on the Soviet team because you have a lot more support at low altitude than you would in an American team, especially at the battle ratings where you start to see the B-25s be more popular, around 4.3, where you would expect the Americans to climb or die, and both cases they're not going to be around to support you in your B-25 ground striking adventures. So this has been a really fun match for me. It turned out really well, all fairly simple. We ended up using our flaps quite a bit here, and the B-25 is not a powerhouse when it comes to its engines. They are rather thrusty, but the B-25 itself is a heavy twin-engine bomber. So using those flaps means that we fly at a fairly stable and low airspeed, but it makes us a really stable platform for attacking the ground with our 50 cal defensive gunners. And I've got to say, that could be something to take a look at in Tank RB matches. Maybe I should gunship a little bit with the B-25. I was playing a match in Japanese 3.7 earlier where a Catalina was gunshipping with, I think those were the 50 cal gun pod variants, because it was punching through my armor fairly well, and he actually managed to take down my, I think it's called the Soki, the Japanese sucky 220mm AA. It's at the same battle rating as that Italian monstrosity. Anyway, it's just about over for this match. You're going to see more of the same, flying at low speed, just targeting ground units. Anything soft we can punch through with our 50 cals. And you can see that we don't really have to worry so much about ground-based AA. One of the major downsides to a lot of the more nimble ground attackers or fighters that can engage ground targets is that you'll get some random shot from the AA and it'll just yellow everything in your aircraft, and your engines will be on a death spiral and your pilot's injured, reducing maneuverability. Can we please get rid of that mechanic in the game? I don't think anybody enjoys that one. And soon enough, you're just not having a good time. Well, so far, I haven't really had a problem with that in the B-25. Oh, there she is! That's little Zoe! Fuel supply running low. Real quick. Mommy's been doing such a good job, and we're very, very tired here in the toshiothunder household. Yeah. She's been so good today. That is a baby with a strong voice. Anyway, that just about does it for this video. Like I said, we end up picking up 20 ground kills. We pick off a wyvern from our tail who just gave himself to us. He's like, "Hey bud, you want an air kill?" And I was like, "Okay, if you ask so nicely." Later on, in a few other matches, I did get my tail controls blown off fairly easily, and that's another thing with the fragility of aircraft lately that, well, you just gotta kind of get used to. Or, maybe if you want to be a baby, you could whine about it. But we just live with what we have. In short, I'm enjoying the special task I have for probably today and tomorrow. I'll be grinding this out in the few moments where I have to catch a match. And after that, well, I'll soon to have my TB3M ridiculous Soviet bomber, which has, what is it? I think it's 2 762 turrets and 3 double 762 turrets, so that should be a lot of fun. Anyway guys, I'll catch you in the skies, I'll catch you on the ground, I'll catch you in the next video. Bye bye.